I'm very excited to do a talk today, although it's pre-recorded, but no one knows that. So I'm going to talk to you about a case that we did years ago for a big insurance company on a global scale. It's not Mirror's Edge. You might have recognized this piece of art. I bought this by Cook & Becker, which creates fantastic pieces of art to put on your wall physically. Anyhow, that's just a bit of free advertising because I love what they're doing. So I'm going to talk about a case, and not just the case, but I want to give you some tools as well to work with. You might hear some noise every now and then because it just moved into a new house, a new office, but hopefully things are going correctly. So first of all, maybe let me talk you through the gamification canvas. It's something I developed years ago when I did a masterclass for students at the University of Amsterdam. I did it 3 consecutive years, which was really great and fun to do. And I explained them how I approach projects that involve using gamification for business purposes. So it could be any purpose, any goal that companies have. Most of the time, obviously, they're related to branding or marketing in our case, and specifically for this conference right now. So the interesting thing about developing a serious game or a gamification concept for companies is that there seems to be a conflict between the interest of the company, because they want to achieve something, but their target audience most of the time is not really interested in achieving the same goal. So that's dilemma number 1. We need to gap that bridge. So most of the time I start on one side first. We first try to define the objective and the challenge of the company as smart as possible, as good as possible. So we use the game store methodology for that, and I can explain you more about that, or you can find YouTube videos about it online, or if you go to the gamificationacademy.com website, you will find how it works. But we use a playful manner, a workshop to really determine and to peel the onion, like what do you wish to achieve and why is it hard to achieve that, and which behavioral change is involved to actually overcome the obstacles that you see before you. So it might be that the client wants to increase their sales, increase their brand awareness, increase commitment from their staff, or whatever it is. We try to define it and pinpoint it really, like where is it on the business playground. So that's on one hand. So on the other hand, you want to influence behavior of people, whether it be consumers, suppliers, employees, management, whoever. It's always about people with certain drives and motivations. Yeah. So the people that we want to influence have different goals in life, also in their work maybe, but also specifically their drives and motivations are important for us because we need to define which mechanics make them tick and make them motivate them to make them change their behavior. And it could be for them to come to the office more often, or work harder, work more efficient, work more together, sell more, buy more, come by the store more often. Any type of behavior that we define that will eventually influence the objective that the company has needs to be unraveled and unveiled. And we do that in the GameStorm session. Then, of course, we do gameplay sessions to determine which mechanics do we feel really match the motivation of the target audience. And then really we start creating a concept. And the concept has 2 key elements. It has content in itself, and the content is consumed within a certain context. Yeah. So, and context means time and place. So where are these people when they interact with your software, with your application, with your game? For instance, for Pokemon Go, it can be anywhere in the world, anywhere in the streets, right? But for the games that we develop, most of the time it's in the office, or it's as they are traveling by train, for instance. So it's a different context, and you need to keep it into consideration, because a mobile phone is a very different device than a computer with all types of things you can type on. So it's a different context, and you need to be aware of it and make the most of it, because if you can have access to a mouse and a keyboard, it gives you a lot of opportunity. Anyway, So the context is time and place. So where are they and when do they interact with your software? Then of course we have the content, and the content means a certain structure, shape, and game mechanics. So there are certain mechanics that we take into account, that we use specifically for this target audience, and there's a certain structure in the database, in the backend that we could create, and that's basically where the game loops is, and where the mechanics work, and where the magic happens, like the calculations and stuff. It sounds boring, but that's actually the most exciting stuff. And then, on the other hand, we also have the shape of the software, like the physical form, like what does it look like, what does it feel like, what's the user experience when people interact with the software. So I'm going to give you this gamification canvas as a tool. Hope you enjoy using it. If you have any questions, let us know. Send us an email through the Gamification Academy. Okay, so I wrote 2 books about using games as a tool for either branding and marketing or for continuous improvement. So my first book is for free. It's called A Brand New Playground, and you can download it for free at brandnewplayground.com in English, or soon it will be translated to Korean. South Korea is it available, so that's good news, I guess. So let me go to the case. A few years ago, a big insurance company invited us to come up with a game concept to bring their brand values to life. Yeah, and my background is in branding and marketing. I used to work for Atari for 3 years, 5 years for Diesel, for the clothing brand, where I was responsible for all online marketing and channel marketing. 2 years in advertising, and since 2010 I founded BrandNewGames, which is now a limited company in various countries. So for this specific game, basically we were talking about internal branding, right? Because brand values is about branding. It's about finding people that match your organization, and also giving stakeholders an idea of what type of company you are and how you do your thing. So it's about behavior, and it's about showing suppliers, consumers, customers, and all sorts of people who you are and how you interact. So we defined for this assignment various stakeholders together with the client, and we created a card game similar to Hearthstone. I don't know if you know it, I don't know if you play it, but Hearthstone is a game very popular amongst 70 plus million people that play it. Mostly are more women actually than on an average game. And we were inspired by that game because we were thinking about creating a card game where you could feel what the implications of your behavior are. So for instance, if we talk about the values of this company, it's about care, clear, and commit. Yeah, but being clear in Dutch means something different than being clear in Korean, Chinese, Indian, or Hungarian culture. So it was interesting to define and to explore actually what type of behavior fits those values. So for instance, care could mean that you reach out to people, that you think proactively with them. And depending on what type of stakeholder you have before you, for instance, complaining Connie, or for instance, busy Barbara, the effect of your behavior has different impact, right? If someone is very busy, or if someone is complaining all the time, your behavior might backfire towards you. And so the context of the actions that you play within the certain scenarios that we defined could be differently. So I'll show you a short demo as a video, I guess, in this video if I'm available, if I'm able to do that technically. Otherwise, you will find it on YouTube. I will send you a link. But the game basically was about laying cards on the table and trying to convince the person, for instance, busy Barbara, to make impact on their behavior and to come to your side of the table. So you could perform an action, then the next player performs their action, then it's me again, then it's you again. So it's a turn-based card game that makes people explore and experience actually what the impact of behavior is. So for instance, you could lay down the card chit-chatting, and chit-chatting is maybe nice for someone who is open for that, and it may impact the values positively or negatively depending on the context. And basically by playing the game often and more, you will get a feeling about the impact of your behavior. So finally, of course, it's not a black and white thing. It's not a yes and no or a plus and minus. It's not binarily. It's much more fluid. And that's the whole difficult part, I think, about bringing brand values to life, that you need to find a way for people really to just experience it in a playful way and start a conversation with other people and do that. And the organization did a big competition on a global scale. So about 12,000 people played the game in 16 different countries, in 12 different languages. And there was a competition all the way to the top. And they played it for 3 consecutive years. Every year they had the week of the value or the month of the values. So they played it for 6 weeks in that period. Not a month exactly, of course, but 6 weeks. And you can also find a talk by Regina Terra, who was the stakeholder or my contact actually at NN Insurances. And she held a talk at the Gamification Turkey conference years ago. And it's on YouTube available, so you can find it. So eventually you will play through the game, discovering 36 stakeholders, and you would be able to unlock 85 different action cards. And if you unlock them all, of course, then you win the game, and the guy or girl who did it the fastest got a special reward or award. So this is basically the case, and I hope you enjoyed this talk. I have more talks and more cases, of course. I'm going to check now how long the video is. I think it's 12 minutes or so. So maybe I have time for another case. So another case we did for a big telephone company comes to mind, and it's a very successful game indeed. It was again designed for employees to change their behavior in a positive way. And it was about customer experience. So this specific company had 3 types of personas defined. So they had 3 types of consumers. They had the more technical consumer, the more emotional consumer, and the more functional consumer. And you can imagine that the technical consumer knows exactly what he wants, so he will probably enter the store and go directly to the store employee and says what he wants. You'll have the emotional shopper that basically goes through the whole shop like a crazy person, tasting, feeling, looking and everything. And you would have the functional shopper who will just need a solution to his problem or her problem. So not necessarily cares about what it looks like or how technically advanced it is, as long as it solves his or her problem. And the idea of this game was that it was an infinite game, infinitely fun to play, easy to pick up, and you could do 10 matches, 20, 30 or 40 matches, and it would keep on being fun to play. So it was in a time there was no COVID, you had a lot of physical stores, and people would actually enter your store physically. So if you would greet them by clicking on them, which we didn't explain anywhere in the game, but people did it intuitively, you would click on them and 1 or 2 hints would pop up. So you would know if they had a Starbucks, if they had a coffee mug in their hands or wearing sneakers. The chances are big it's quite a technically advanced person because it's a hipster or whatever. So there are hints in the game as soon as people enter the store. Then you could see their behavior, whether they go to the desk immediately or they browse the store or they go to the facing and keep looking like this. So The consumers were displayed as abstract, which in hindsight was a very good decision, because I know from research that if you display consumers with too much detail, first of all, the brain of the player doesn't do a lot anymore, because you fill in all the gaps like we do in movies, which is not good for our own fantasy. You better read a book than you use a lot of fantasy. And on the other hand, it was good because people would not have a premise like, oh, a gray guy with glasses is always a functional shopper, for instance. So the shoppers were displayed as smileys, and that would also display their emotion. And in the beginning, all the customers came into the store happily, but we could play with that, and we could, if someone would be very good, we could make them sad or angry entering the store, so you would have less time, or it would be more difficult to please them and create a bigger window of opportunity with this specific type of customer. Now, the game routine, like the game loop in this application, was basically someone enters the store, you click on them. If you click fast enough, you get to see what 2 or 3 hints. You have to analyze their behavior and then start a conversation. As soon as you start a conversation, you can ask questions in 4 tones of voice. Emotional tone, functional tone, a technical tone, and a normal tone. Monotone, you could say. Just a normal tone, like welcome to our restaurant, welcome to our company, welcome to our whatever. So in Dutch, you would have you and you as 2 different, it's either sir or yo, what up. So you could say, hey, what up, dude? But hey, what up, dude, doesn't resonate well with a functional shopper maybe, or an emotion shopper. So it all depends. So the emotion could have 7 different states. And if you use the right tone of voice with the right type of customer, they will become more happy and the window of opportunity becomes bigger. So you can sell more. But there's a maximum. There's a predefined amount of boxes that are available for each type of customer. It's all randomized. So the nice thing is of random, it's infinitely fun to play. And there's an end score where you have to reproduce the demand of this specific customer. And the nice thing was that the answers that the customer gives are icons. So it's not a text-based thing, that's it, it's only limited scenarios and then it's finished. No, you can ask a question in text, but the answer will be in an icon, or it will remain closed if you don't use the right tone of voice. So you will lose the opportunity. A very successful case. People played on average 40 times in 6 weeks, which is huge, which we, to be honest, never reached again. Such a big success. 6 weeks. So it's a very strong concept for store staff to train them in learning what types of consumers require what type of communication. So you can make impact here in the heart and create a bigger window of opportunity. The customer was very happy because this was our first assignment for them, but afterwards we got another 3 assignments creating various gamification systems for them. And I can show you the gameplay a little bit in this video, and also I can show you the making of the moment in those days when we did it. So if you have any questions about this case, please send me a tweet on Twitter at Bart Hufen, #gamification. If you have any other questions, read my book, A Brand New Playground, in English. You can download it for free as a PDF at www.brandnewplayground.com. So just brandnewplayground.com. So this was Bart Hufen. I hope you enjoyed the talk, explaining 2 cases how you can apply gamification in serious games to the business side of things. I explained to you the gamification canvas. I hope it resonates and you understand how to work with it. If not, let me know through the Gamification Academy. And yeah, we would love to help you out there. So all the best, good luck. Thank you very much for listening and see you next time.